Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the MotorMotion ShawFire V8 Supercars series, sponsored by ShawFire. ShawFire, they provide unique solutions to your signage and display needs. From business cards and stickers to factory signage and vehicle wraps, they can make you stand out. Make sure you visit www.shawfire.com.au, the official sponsors of the MotorMotion E-Series V8 Supercars. Today, in the commentary box, we will have Nick and Kez as our lead commentators throughout this race. We are at Croatia, Dragontrail Seaside, round 2, where there's 27 laps, which entails 17 turns, and one lap around here is 5.2 kilometers long. The lobby has been set. We've got qualifying underway as we run through the grid. First place, we have Brun. Second place, we have Kutcher. Third place, Austin. Fourth place, we have Griffin. As we move into fifth, we see Piers there. Sixth place is Brittel. Seventh is Mario. Eighth is Samson. We move down the order. We've got ninth place, D. Scarborough. We've got 10th place, Robinson. 11th place, teammate to D. Scarborough, which is M. Scarborough. And 12th, we've got B. Cantwell. Rounding out the field, we've got W. Rushton, B. Blaker in 14th, and tailing out the field with R. Rick. Now guys, make sure you share us on all of the socials. Make sure you use the hashtag #LightItUp so we can see you sharing us and all of your support. As I pass over to the lead commentators now, Nick and Kez.
Welcome everybody to the ShawFire Supercars. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Austin, Joel Austin, who is one of the admins of MotorMotion E-Series. Yes, we are here for Dragontrail Seaside for what is going to be an epic race around here as I introduce my co-commentator in Kez Audio. So welcome along, my friend.
Hey, thank you for having me there, Spud. Hello, viewers. Looking very much forward to this favourite track of ours, one of the original ones in GT7. In the beta testing, he's lucky enough to do that. But well renowned for the so-called death chicane. It's probably renamed the ShawFire chicane because after most of those cars going through that, they're going to need a new livery done to their car. So ShawFire can look after that for us with their wraps.
Absolutely. As we just saw from our broadcast in the Brock lobby, we saw a dominant victory displayed by Rolls from Wookie Racing, and then second place was taken out by GLR Scotty, the founder of Gridline Racing, and then third place, Kane in Extreme and ZR for Ned Racing. So brilliant drives from those three, class of the field. And we saw some awesome racing in the mid-pack down to the rear.
Was on first again. He won the event from start to finish last week. So he's put that on pole again. And our good mate, Kutch, who got driver of the week last week, is in second.
Absolutely.
So, looking forward to seeing this.
Absolutely. So Squirrel's got 2 poles in a row. Apparently he did that on the very last lap. That Squirrel got his last, that got the pole position time. So Squirrel on pole, Kutch second, and Osto right behind in third as we get ourselves underway for what is going to be an epic race here in the Johnson lobby. Squirrel on pole, Kutch second. There's going to be all hell's blazing coming through the field. 15 drivers, the lights are out, and we are green flag racing. So brilliant start by Squirrel. Kutch just a little bit slower, but he's going to try and go side by side with Squirrel going into turn 1. But Squirrel's already pulled out a couple of car lengths over Kutch in second place. Osto right behind in third place. Griffo going for the move, trying to get himself up the placings, up into fourth. Roddy Dongs for Black Rose Racing in fifth place. So Black Rose in the top 5, 2 in the top 5 so far. But we've got a nice good clean start by all competitors this evening. No one's looking like they're making any mistakes there. So looking good and looking very schmick between the Camaros and the Mustang, with Squirrel leading the pack.
The two teammates together, the DP Mario, same as last week.
As we see a bit of contact there, and we have a bit of a change of the lead going through the S's. Kutch just made a brilliant move on the inside, so it looked like Squirrel had a bit of a moment through the S's, and Kutch took full advantage, has taken the lead, and Osto's gone through into P2, so Squirrel down to third in the space of a couple of corners, but Squirrel looking for the inside move on Osto. Griffo's going for a move on Squirrel. Squirrel almost lost the position to the Mustang in Griffo being the substitute for Brendan March, who is part of ISA Racing and unfortunately he couldn't show up, but his teammate in Benjo did, so they won't be scoring too many points, but Griffo making a statement that he's just like he did in the Camaro last time out at Red Bull Ring, but now he's in the Mustang.
Yeah, Griffo got a bit of a shove behind there from Roddy Dons. That's what sent him up on Squirrel there. So.
There you go. So good call there. So good
Little
mix
bit
up
of
there,
thrill.
Kez. Absolutely. So Griffo in fourth, Briz Lightning for the It's Racing Esports Camaro in the top 5, where his teammate finished in P8 in the Brock lobby. So he'll be wanting to do justice for It's Racing Esports. Rodidong's just dropped a position down to 6th place. Marty McFarty is coming under pressure from Hellblazer, but Hellblazer is going for that inside move. They're going to hold it side by side through the chicane. Brilliant racing, brilliant spatial awareness between between Hellblazer and Marty, but Hellblazer gets through. And he's got his teammate Uncle Mark in 9th place with the first of the rush fires in DP Mario in 10th place.
Griffo's having a look here at these blokes there. I think they sorted out. Still a bit of going on there between Cooch and Foster.
So it looks like Griffo's just sorted himself out amongst a good right. And Squirrel runs wide. He runs wide onto the gravel trap, and he's spun it, and he's hit the wall on the left-hand side. So what was your pole sitter from the opening for this lap? And Robbo's gone wide. He's come into that accident out of nowhere, and Robbo's been caught up in all of that mess caused by Squirrel. The pole position man into the barrier, and Robbo Sport, the unlucky driver that's come through. Ruzzy's come through with a 3-second penalty. I believe he's been caught overtaking under yellow flags, has Ruzzy in the Rushfire Racing, but that was a horrific moment there by Squirrel 18 for Gridline Racing. Marty McFarty, he's almost clipped the dash chicane there, and he's going to lose the position to Squirrel coming into the final corner, as we see Ruzzy serving that 3-second penalty, that harsh 3-second penalty, whether he made a move on the inside or outside and he got himself a 3-second penalty, we're not too sure. But as we look at
Matrix up here, Hellblazer, big winners out of this.
Absolutely. So Hellblazer's definitely got a big win out of that, but we have a brand new leader on lap 3 of 27. It is Osto 101 in first place, with Kutch losing that position to Osto. So that moment that Kutch had with Squirrel, actually no, so Kutch must have lost it a little bit, and he lost the lead to Osto. So Osto, your leader, car 101 in first, Kutch in second, Griffo's now up into third. Rodidongs has actually done a very good job, and so has Uncle Mark in 5th place. So those guys usually hanging around the mid-table to the rear of the field, are up into 4th and 5th place. So well done to Rodidongs and Uncle Mark being inside the top 5. DP Mario in 6th, and Madrick in 7th place for the Jack Daniels Racing Camaro.
Yeah, Roddy Dons has done well after a little chat last week. He's going to stick to putting the car on the track and driving it forward instead of going donuts in the car park.
Absolutely, yeah. As we saw a little bit of antics going through that car 9 from the Black Rose Racing, they took a bit of a punch on the shoulder. But hey, we all learn, we all make mistakes, and the best gets to us.
He's in the 4th. It's good showing.
Got ourselves a really good race going on here, ladies and gentlemen. So the field is more or less spread out amongst each other. So there's not really too many battle packs, unless we look towards the front, where Osto and Kutch are battling it out for positions. So Osto still holding on lap 4 of 27. So this is a long race to go, Kez. So we're only about 24 laps to go until the end of this Grand Prix. So pit stops aren't even in a factor just yet. So we're on lap 4. It's very early to make a call. So we'll probably be looking at around lap 9 as the crucial window to enter the pit lane and put in a tank of fuel and tyres.
Yeah. Two stops on this one. Interesting to see what Fly does. He did the one stopper last week.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's going to try that again, but mind you, there's a lot of 100% throttle applied around this track. So,
yeah, absolutely. There's only 4 major braking zones in this Dragontrail Seaside in Croatia, so it's very hard to. It's all about the flow. It's all about trying to keep that car rolling through corners and not losing too much pace. So they're doing themselves a really good job. Not too many incidents I've seen through the chicane of death here, as we see Osto and Kutch negotiate that very cleanly. As we go back down to Griffo, let's see if he can negotiate the chicane of death. Oh, he's he's kissing it a little bit, and Roddy Dongs has got actually a better run compared to Griffo. So Roddy Dongs will be looking to make a move on the final corner, but can Griffo hold it, or will Roddy Dongs be able to outbrake him? Oh, he's right, tucking in the rear bumper of the wildcard entry, the Surefire Mustang in third place versus Black Rose Racing in fourth. And they're having a really good battle here. So as we go on board with Roddy Dongs, looking at the rear end of that Surefire Mustang, he's just lifting off there in turn one. So he's not showing too much confidence, Kez, going to turn one. Maybe that car's very unstable through the fast speed corners.
Yeah, unstable. Griffo had just been called into this, and he was being polite there at the final corner there and allowing Roddy Dongs to go up the inside, but yeah, these guys just haven't raced together before, so they're probably yielding for each other and got a little bit messy. They would have made messy down the front straight. But I'm quite surprised how well the cars are riding the bumps.
Yeah.
Not slingshotting over there, as we talked about last week, was about ride heights and suspension, especially as we're coming up to this Surefire Def chicane.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about the setup around this track here. It's not the easiest track to set up a car, but it looks like the cars that are the top three.
Haven't set that up the front, August, though.
Osto has hit the wall there, so he's the first victim of the chicane of death. Osto 101, he's lost the position, he's lost the lead to Kutch 426, and Kutch is now back into the lead after losing that lead for the last couple of laps. Kutch in first. Osto will be waiting for that front splitter to repair in time, so that way Griffo and Roddy Dongs don't catch him quick enough. But it looks like it should be able to repair itself right about now. Yes, so there we go. So thankfully for these guys, they've got light damage, so no harm done. Otherwise, we'd be seeing too many cars going through the pit lane, Kez, if it was on heavy damage.
Oh my word, yeah.
Every couple of laps, one car. The next lap, maybe the same car. You never know.
That, Maverick just he's running wide at turn one, and Mario through as well. Yeah, light is good for those.
So we got Hellblazer holding on to 6th place, DP Mario the first of the Rush Fires in 7th place. So the Mustangs aren't really looking the strongest, but they have got a few cars inside the top 8. So we've got Griffith the lead Mustang, and then we have Uncle Mark. Surprisingly, actually, Uncle Mark compared to Marty McFarty. So Uncle Mark's doing himself a really good job in the sister car in the Scarborough Motorsport, the uncle of Dylan, who we actually might do a little shout out to. Dylan Scarborough, the founder, one of the co-founders of MotorMotion E-Series. It's actually his birthday today. Turns 40 years old, the old bugger. So happy birthday, Dylan, and enjoy the stream, and hopefully we get to see you move up the grid towards at the end of lap 27. But Uncle Mark flying the flag for Scarborough Motorsport in 5th place.
Squirrels has worked himself back up to 10th now. He's having a go with Ben Baker. Ben Baker's letting him go through the chicane. Go through there nicely. So yeah, Squirrel's on the comeback mission.
Squirrel with the fastest lap with a 1 minute 35.217. So he's flying. So after that mistake on lap 2, he is the championship leader. As you can see there on the side, on the window, and on the banner. On the windscreen banner, you will be able to see that orange number, which represents the championship leader. So we also saw that on Roll's Wookiee Racing entry, but now we have Squirrel with the car 18 painted in orange, letting us know that he is the championship leader after the first race, and he won that very nicely. It wasn't a dominant win as you would normally say compared to what Rolls did this evening. It was a very close race in that first round back at Austria. So we've only just flown a couple of hours to Croatia, and we are here on the sunny side. Brilliant conditions as well, Kez. I don't know, you're getting yourself a bit of a tan before you came up into the commentary box. That's why you're a bit late.
My word, yeah. I lost my sunglasses as well, so I know. Just back on Squirrel for a sec. He's got better fuel economy and tyre wear compared to the rest of the field. He is quite a way back, but as we just saw, it's already claimed one of the front runners there. and push them back a couple of spots. So
Absolutely. And as I see through here, lap 7 of 27, we're about to approach the 20 laps to go. We actually see another change of the leader as Maverick has just gone into the dash chicane, and also Kutch must have also got into the dash chicane, as we see a bit of damage come from his cars, just wipes away going into turn 1. So again, the leaders, both Osto and Kutch, have faced the dash chicane here at Dragontrail Seaside, but Osto now retakes the lead on lap 8 of 27 with 20 laps to go. They're going to be start thinking about their pit windows very soon. I believe Osto could potentially go for at least another lap or two. Kutch right behind will definitely need to try and follow Osto, or he may even potentially go for an undercut, as he is actually a little bit lighter on the fuel compared to Osto. So we did note this with Kutch last time out, that he was very good with his fuel saving. His tire management, not so much. So I wonder if that's coming to effect, Kez, and that's why he must have gone into the dash chicane and dropped down to P2.
yeah, we thought that was going to be a problem last week with his tyre wear on his front. So Ruzzy's he's just entered the pit, so that's the first one to come in on lap 7. I thought he was doing all right with his tyre wear, and because I knew his fuel was very good last week. Looking at his gauges now, his fuel is terrible. He's the worst of the front runners. He won't be in this lap, maybe the next one, but he'll come in because he's out of fuel, not because of the tyres.
No, absolutely. So yeah, it is quite the opposite. So as you said, Kutch was really good with fuel, and now it looks like it's going to be both tires and fuel that's hampering his progression towards Osto. As Osto's actually pulling away, so he's probably about 0.7, 0.8 ahead of Kutch 426. It is Ned Racing versus Black Loros Racing, with Griffo doing an exceptional job as the wild card in 3rd place. He's actually gapped Roddydong, so this is actually a very good performance by Roddydong. So we never really see him up towards the front, as we see Uncle Mark enter the pit lane, but Roddydongs is doing himself a brilliant job in 4th place, making it 2 of the Black Rose Racing Camaros inside the top 4, and the team boss in James Lee, Jimmy Superfly, will be very happy to see his Camaros in the top 4 so far.
Yeah, Rossi unfortunately picked up a 3-second penalty as well for his pit entry.
Again?
I would not be surprised if Uncle Mark copped one as well. I just put him going in there, and it is quite an entry to turn in there, but the line is pretty bright.
Looks like Uncle Mark's got away with it, so nothing's come up on the head display, and Rossi doesn't look like. Oh, it looks like he must have just served his penalty as he's coming around the final corner. Yeah, so that's that's twice for Ruzzy. That's caught himself a 3-second, one for overtaking under yellow flags, and then another one costing the pit line, which is actually very hard to negotiate, Kez. It's very hard to actually get that last corner and then really just swing it in right. You have to actually be a lot slower going into the final corner, and if you're the car behind that's not pitting, you can get flustered and you will get caught out, and there will be a lot of contact made, and potentially even damage.
Especially when you don't have any tyres to turn that final corner. Yeah,
absolutely. And we see now Kutch 426 entering the pit lane. Osto's gone for that one more lap here. So Kutch is coming at the crucial lap 9 of 27. So definitely a potential 2-stop here for Kutch 426, and he'll be able to fill that tank up to 100. And with a fresh set of boots, or those racing softs. Griffo has come in as well. Roddydong's Hellblazer has actually saved a lot of fuel here. So this is very interesting from Hellblazer. I would have thought he would have done one more lap, but unless his tyres were ruined. But he's actually saved 12 litres of fuel compared to the guys up front. So very good fuel economy in that Diffusion Racing Engineering Ford Mustang.
Flies in the pit as well, so there goes the
one stop. We were cheering him on last week. Hey, we were just with the one stop around Red Bull Ring. I guess as well, because this track, you could say in a way, I believe the track that is Red Bull Ring and this track here at Dragontrail, they're about the same, but I feel like this track is a little bit more demanding with the corners and a little bit more braking and a little bit more time on the throttle compared to what Austria was.
You got to be brave around here. Having said that, pit entry has claimed another victim of Roddydong's, our mate, Rick Bernigan friend. He's done something wrong with the
Oh, he has. So he definitely must have crossed the pit line going into the pit lane. So exiting out the pit lane is very easy, but it's entering the pit lane was just the hardest. As we see
as well.
As we see Oster now entering the pit lane. So Oster 101, the leader on lap 10 of 27 into the pit lane, as we're going to see Roddy Dong's service penalty, but we want to keep our eyes on Kuch 426 in third place. Will he actually get the undercut on Osto 101 as Osto comes into the pit lane? Kuch is on the pit straight. Osto has actually put in some fuel and he's about to exit the pit lane. Yes, he does. So he's actually not just gapped him, but he's actually gapped him quite a fair bit here. So Osto's actually got a really big jump on Kuch 426. So the overcut actually works for Osto 101. So very good driving there by Osto to keep that car straight. Even though Kuch was on fresher tyres for one lap only, Osto managed to keep that car well ahead going into the pit lane. And even now pulling away from Kuch. But as we see, Kuch are really trying to be later on the brakes and really try and use those worn softs, or the warm softs rather, to apply a bit of pressure to Osto before Osto pulls away. But now we have DP Mario leading the way. So DP Mario also in the Mustang. He's actually got very good fuel economy as well there, Kez. 11 laps in this car. The tyre wear is not. Yeah, the tyre wear is not too bad in that Rushfire Racing Mustang. So he's done really well to make that car last 11 laps. I know, definitely myself in the Brock lobby, I definitely could not even attempt to do an extra lap. I only believed I did 10 laps, and then that was it. 11 laps was too much. So
he's about a second a lap slower than most of the field.
Yep. His personal best is a 1 minute 38.1 with the fastest of 1:35.2. But yeah, no, he's done a very good job there. So keep your head up, DP Mario. That was a really good stint for you as he enters the pit. And now we have Kuch actually make the move on Osto 101. He's taken the lead away from the Ned Racing driver, but Osto's right in the clutches of Kuch as we go on board with Osto 101 going through the first chicane into turn 2 and 3. How does this car ride the bumps? Rides it very nicely. He's actually gained a lot of traction there. Oh, he's just had a bit of a moment there, and that's allowed Kuch to pull away going into the double right-hander, but Kuch runs that a little bit wide. Osto's a little bit more comfortable taking more curbing on the first right-hander and even on the second part as well. So good balance between these two cars, good strengths and weaknesses. But now we have Kuch leading ahead of Osto. It looks like Kuch just run a little bit wide. Osto's just going to think about planning to make his overtake or whether he's going to wait for Kuch to make a mistake. He's got brilliant traction through the S's, Kez. That Ned Racer is looking like a very stable car, and Kuch is equally trying to match him, but I feel like it's going to be due time before Osto thinks about another move on the race leader.
Kuch is driving pretty shallow there, so I don't know if he thinks he needs to defend or anything, but yeah, Osto just looks in control of that car.
Absolutely, that car looks very well planned, and it didn't look too well planned through the chicane, with Kuch just pulling a bit of a car length, an extra couple of car lengths on Osto 101. So he's actually managed to pull out a little bit more, and that traction control for Osto is actually helping him out, getting that exit through the last corner a little bit easier. But Kuch, with about a 0.7 second gap over Osto 101, back into third place. These guys have pulled away. They pulled away very clearly with Griffo, the wild card entry, what was meant to be the vacant spot taken by Brendan March in ISA Racing, has now actually gone to Griffo in third place. So he won't be scoring points for ISA, but Griffo will definitely be scoring individual points for himself. So this is a very good result for Griffo in third place.
Yeah, he's in the middle of the pack in front of him is long gone. He's right in the middle of the next pack as well.
Absolutely. He's in definite control of that Mustang, just like we saw in the Brock lobby, the fastest Mustang and the lead Mustang, which was Super VT 2000. The driver, she did very well just to keep that car pointing straight and had a wonderful battle against Extreme, and so did for the battle for fourth players, who turned out to be a really great racing, and she definitely came out on.
Uncle Mark there, sorry, not there. Uncle Mark and Hellraiser, Roddy Dongs.
Yeah, so we got Griffo, Hellblazer, Uncle Mark in the three Mustangs, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, with Roddy Dongs dropping down a little bit after that 3-second penalty that he served. He's definitely dropped well back, far away from Griffo, and he's now in a battle pack that he did not want to be in. Like, he was very comfortable sitting in 4th place, but unfortunately crossing the pit line does that to you, as Uncle Mark doesn't have the greatest entry and exit through the chicane of death, and this will give Roddy Dongs a bit of a chance to think about a bit of a dive bomb move through Uncle Mark. But knowing Roddy Dongs, he won't take those moves, he won't take those risks. He'll keep 6th place when Squirrel is the man on the charge. Ladies and gentlemen, he's up into P7 already. So Squirrel, after making a catastrophic mistake and having a huge incident on lap 2, is now clawed himself back up into P7. As we saw in the foreground, we saw Uncle Mark and Roddy Dongs go side by side through turn 1. It looks like Uncle Mark's just kept that position ahead of Roddy Dongs. It is very close between those two, very evenly matched. Oh, as Uncle Mark just lost a little bit of traction on the exit of the chicane, going into the fast left kink. Uncle Mark keeps that car straight, but that's given Hellblazer a good gap between him and Uncle Mark to pull away just a little bit. But this is all bringing Squirrel into the picture to try and not take 6th place, but even back into even a potential 5th place, as we saw Hellblazer run very deep going into the S's.
Yeah, Roddy Dongs, he pulled out of turn 1 there for to let Uncle Mark back through. He wasn't confident making the pass there, which is, you do that at this stage. But Uncle Mark looks in trouble on this tyre set.
Oh, as he's run wide, and there we go. Roddy Dongs has made the move for position 5. So Roddy Dongs had to wait patiently, as you said, did not make the move in turn 1, as you would normally do, as what race drivers would do, make moves as early as you can. But patience is the key, and that's what happened to Roddy Dongs. He's up into 5th place, and now he'll be making the charge towards Hellblazer and P4. But Squirrel is coming, and he's coming fast. Kez up
again. He'll get it done at the end. He'll get it done in turn 1 here, Squirrel, and Uncle Mark.
Absolutely. So looks like he's got a bit more pull in that Camaro compared to Uncle Mark, who's struggling on those tyres, and he's struggling to keep Squirrel behind. Squirrel's going to have to wait patiently. There's not much room into turn 1 into the fast right-hander. And Squirrel pulls out, goes to the inside, into the chicane, makes the move stick. Really an authoritative move by Squirrel in the Gridline Racing car, and your championship leader in P6 with Kutch in P1, Osto 2nd, and Griffo 3rd, but Squirrel is on the charge and he is flying through. So awesome racing there by Squirrel to make that authoritative move there, Kez. That was a very commanding move there by Squirrel. I wonder if that's
Uncle
actually saying.
That Uncle Mark's just gone off.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So well done. Thanks for the pick up there, Kez. Unfortunately, wow, it must have just run wide onto the first part of the S's, and that has put all the good work for Uncle Mark, who was sitting inside the top 5 comfortably, having a bit of pressure from Roddy Dongs and then Squirrel, all to come undone. And now he's got his teammate Marty McFarty right behind him in P11. And I feel like, what we could predict, his tyres must have let go there, Kez, and he'll be looking to try and make a pit stop within the next lap or so.
He was one of the early pitters there. He just didn't look comfortable with Roddy following him.
Roddy Dongs, yeah.
Roddy Dongs.
There you go. Yeah, it's very hard to pronounce all the names here, but we do our best.
Whether it was just pressure and a bit of dirt on the tyres, he was running a bit wide. But ever since that, he ended up in the lap, he lost three spots. And he is one of the first pitters, so he'll have to pit again. So, very unfortunately.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and we've got 12 laps to go. Kutch is your leader, Osto 2nd, Griffo 3rd. As we roll down through the grid, before we roll through the grid, we're going to cut back to Osto, who was looking to make a move on Kutch 426 going into the 3rd braking zone here at Dragontrail Seaside, going through the chicane, the fast chicane. It looked like he cut that first part of the chicane there. So very interesting. But I've got to say, Kez, Osto's car looks very well planted around this track. Kutch is obviously equal the car setup as what Osto has, but man, I will say Osto's car, and he's actually got an extra lap on tires and fuel, so I wouldn't definitely count Osto out for a potential victory and a potential upset.
If they were to pit now, Osto would jump in the pit.
Absolutely.
Just in the tire, in the fuel difference.
And
Osto, he's clever. He was just sit back there and maybe catch a bit of draft, and then they're both going to have to pit again.
It's very crucial for Osto to stay right in the clutches of Kuch 426 because, like you said, he can definitely jump in the pit lane with those extra liters of fuel, which is usually roughly you're burning about at least 9 to 10% of fuel around this track, even more depending how much you're actually burning through that 650 brake horsepower Camaro and Mustang. We balanced the cars out to 743 PP performance points, and we try to get the cars as close as possible here for the ShawFire Supercar Series, presented to you by MotorMotion E-Series, the inaugural Supercars Championship here presented to you. We've done our Brock lobby. We are in the Johnson lobby where we're on lap 17 of 27, only about 10 and a bit laps to go with Kuch 426 in the lead. Osto on the clutches of Kuch, but he's lost a bit of ground here on this lap, has Osto. So sitting nicely in P2, Griffo, the first of the Mustangs, in position 3. Hellblazer in 4th. Roddy Dongs inside the top 5, but coming under pressure from Squirrel, the pole man, leading up until lap 2, where he made a huge mistake through the S's on the exit of the S's and spun that car around and also took out Robbo Sport from the Fusion Racing and he's dropped down through the field. So unfortunately, he's actually made a move on Roddy Dongs. So Roddy Dongs has had a bit of a drama through the chicane of death, and that allows Squirrel up into 5th place. Roddy Dongs demoted to 6th. Briz Lightning for the It's Racing Esports Mustang in 7th place. So he's also doing a very good job to try and catch up to these guys and even potentially make a move on Roddy Dongs, getting that It's Racing Esports Camaro in 7th place. Madrick inside the top 8 for Jack Daniels Racing, putting on a very good performance there for Jack Daniels Racing. DP Mario in 9th, as we did see him pit on lap 11, so he did a wonderful stint, that opening sit on lap 11. And then we have Marty McFarty.
He's going to keep an eye on Mario. I'm not sure he's going to try and do 10 laps on this set. He won't win the race, but I reckon he's going to get up about 4th somewhere.
Absolutely, he can definitely surprise. He'll definitely surprise us, that's for sure, but we'll keep an eye on that second stint. As we saw Marty McFarty inside the top 10, we did see Uncle Mark surrender that position to Robbo Sport as he went into the pit lane. Fly Boarding in 12th place, very unfortunately him, the one-stop wonder driver for the Juiced Motorsport Camaro in 12th place, when Uncle Mark coming out of the pit lane in 13th. Ruzzy in 14th place. And then we have Benjo in 15th and last place. So that rounds up our 15 drivers here for the MotorMotion E-Series ShawFire Supercars for the Johnson lobby. Kuch is now into the pit lane, so lap 19 of 27, so he's done his stint, so he's got one more lap to go. Has Osto 101 to make this overcut work, but he's run a bit deep going into the chicane there, so that's going to compromise him. So those fronts are wearing out massively. So if I was Osto, I would definitely put all of my brake balance to the rear, 5 to the rear, use some of the rear tires and save those fronts for the next lap.
Rest of the field is up to P7. The coach is just exited. Full tank. He's good to go.
So Kuch is definitely going to make it to the end, as we see there. Everyone else coming to the pit lane and not DP Mario. So this is our wildcard driver, Kez, sitting in P3. Griffo is exited the pit lane. He's in P4. He's going to definitely secure position 3 at the conclusion of this race, but never say never as the chicane bites, and it bites hard. He's got a bit of lap traffic with Benjo in 15th place, but Griffo will definitely negotiate around him without any problems at all. But we have to keep our eyes on the leader, Osto 101. Will he pit at the end of this lap, or can he go one more? I have a feeling, he looks so close to hitting that chicane. Even though he's got a good car, balanced car through the chicane, it looks like he's just about to clip it. But Osto, I feel like this is his time to come into the pit lane right now, as we are about to conclude lap 19 and start lap 20. trying to turn the hard right into the pit lane. That is so hard, Kez. I don't know how he did it, but he's got 11% of fuel here. So this is the moment, Kez. Can Osto get himself ahead of Kuch 426? Ned Racing versus Black Rose Racing at the final sequence of pit stops. Osto in the pit lane as we want to keep our eyes on Kuch 426. He's about to put himself onto the pit straight as well. So as those numbers are going up for Osto 101, will he come out in front? Will he come out behind as he's just about to exit the pit lane? Osto looks like he's going to be behind him. So very unfortunate. So the overcut has not worked for Osto 101. So Kuch must have put in a brilliant out lap to actually keep himself ahead of Osto 101. He's actually put a gap on Osto 101 compared to what we last saw before when Kuch entered the pit lane. So Osto struggled a little bit on that last lap. I wonder, Kez, he probably maybe could have just pitted when Kuch did. You know, maybe play a different strategy. Yeah, definitely play a different strategy.
Yeah. So the only one out, I think, unfortunately, Mario is going to have to come in for a splash of fuel. So the one stop is not going to work there. Griffo's all right. Squirrel, he picked up a 1 second penalty somewhere. He served that, so he was up there with Hellblazer, but he's now way off the back of Hellblazer. He's still in 6th though, so good recovery from him. He saw him go
Absolutely.
back to
Awesome recovery by your championship leader, who unfortunately, if this all stands, unfortunately, he'll be surrendering that orange coloured number 18. He'll be passing that over to Kuch 426, who will be your brand new championship leader at the conclusion of this race. If it were to stop now, it would belong to Kuch 426, but never say never. Anything can happen here around Dragontrail Seaside, as Kez and I know very well in all the leagues that we've done and all the experiences that we've raced around this track, GT Sport, GT7, anything can happen.
Yeah, beta testing. Yeah, as I said, it's one of the original tracks for the GT Sport game. Loved it. We used to have to set up, wait until about 10 o'clock at night just to play it 3 times until 12. And that was it. You only got 3 games a day when they were doing the beta testing. But yeah, this was one of the tracks. Just fell in love with it. And that chicane, that was just, that's something else.
Absolutely, and as we saw there, Roddy Dongs unfortunately has dropped all the way down to P8. He's actually let Briz Lightning through, and he's up into position 7. So Briz for the It's Racing Esports, trying to keep that car inside the top 8, as he saw his team boss It's Racing in position 8. So Briz will be able to keep that car in P7. But we're hearing a little bit of background rumors here, Kez, that there might be a potential at the conclusion of the Brock lobby. We have, unfortunately, the team boss of It's Racing Esports, It's Racing Jarman Dalitz. Unfortunately for him, he's actually stepped aside from racing the Camaro here at ShawFire Supercars. So he's actually stepped aside and he's vacated car 95. And he's going to be looking out, especially for drivers in this Johnson lobby, to potentially fill the void. Could it be Griffo? Could it be somebody else that's fielding? Could we see Mario, or a guy with no skills, as we saw in the Brock lobby? Could he potentially fill the void for It's Racing Esports? We'll have to find out as rumors come through of a potential signing for It's Racing Esports.
Griffo's just he's on the podium now, so maybe it's might have to get his phone number.
Absolutely.
So he's coming in here with no practice, no thrown in, and the guy's sipping champagne.
Absolutely. So he had a stint in the Brock lobby, has Griffo Tony in Brock lobby last time out of Red Bull Ring, and is now having a stint in the Johnson lobby, sitting in P3 in the Ford Mustang. But he could definitely be a potential to fill the void at It's Racing Esports. We'll have to find out as the news comes through here at MotorMotion. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel MotorMotion E-Series, and also like us on Facebook, MotorMotion E-Series. Find us, join the paddock, join the crew of this awesome crew here on the platform Gran Turismo 7, where we are bringing you all the action here live and free on the internet, on YouTube. And we cannot wait to see you join us in a MotorMotion, hopefully sooner than later. But Griffo, putting himself a really good calling card and maybe a potential full-time role come next time out for round 3. But Griffo holding very nicely into P3. Kutch is still leading Osto in first place, and as we see down through the field,
there now.
DP
just pulling away.
So Kutch is actually, yeah, that's right. So Kutch has definitely
That's
found a
good.
lot of pace on
Good comfortable gap, that one.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely put a lot of pace on Osto, a lot of speed on Osto. This is actually the most dominant that we've actually seen Kutch this time out. We definitely saw him come through the field at Red Bull Ring, but now he's in the lead of the ShawFire Supercars series. He's actually putting a class above, and we just like we saw in Brock Lobby, Kez, where we saw Rolls take a dominant win. This could go the same way as Kutch 426.
Yeah. Beautiful drive. Also, let's not put the mocker on him.
Yeah,
But,
exactly
we
right.
predicted last week, he stood out. And, it's a potential for him to move up to the Brock Lobby.
Absolutely, yeah, we'll keep an eyes on. But there we have a pressure for between Hellblazer and Squirrel. As Squirrel's got better traction through the chicane. Will he make a move? Will he point the nose on Hellblazer? Oh, Hellblazer just closed the door on Squirrel 18 going into the first right-hander, then the second left-hander, right-hander rather. Just has to sit behind him, behind that Ford Mustang in 4th place there. But a brilliant battle here between Hellblazer and Squirrel 18. Squirrel coming from the back of the field at the conclusion of lap 2, and he's up into 5th place, potentially moving up into 4th at the end of lap 23.
Definitely, he deserved that. He's put his head down, soldiered on it, never gave up. Hellblazers.
Oh, he's making a move going into the 3rd braking zone. He's just outbroken himself. Hellblazer takes the switch back. He takes back 4th place. Brilliant racing between the two drivers. Ford versus Chevrolet. The Mustang versus the Camaro. Hellblazer in 4th. Squirrel in 5th place. That's just coming through the chicane of death. Both negotiating that very nicely here on lap 23 or 27. We thought Squirrel made the move comfortably, but he just outbroke himself a little bit. Will he be able to make a move on Hellblazer coming into the final corner? He's thinking about it, but he's not able to make the move just yet. Hellblazer still in 4th, Squirrel in 5th. But as we go on board with Squirrel 18, the championship leader, going side by side with Hellblazer. He's got a little bit more pull on that Mustang, so he's definitely got a lot more speed under that right foot. And he's come through, he's made the move on Hellblazer. There you go. So just well before the chicane and into turn 1 very nicely. The fast right kink at Dragontrail Seaside. Squirrel up into 4th place. And that makes it 3 Camaros in the top 4 with 2 of the Mustangs inside the top 5.
Pretty settled out the front there, which is continued. He's just backed out of it a little bit. He's just managing his times. He's looking like high 35s.
He doesn't need to. He really doesn't need to push anymore. He's got a huge gap over Osto. He's got himself a roughly about 9-10 second gap over Osto 101 in 2nd place, and then he's also got a huge gap over Griffo in 3rd place. So all 3 drivers on the podium don't really need to be pushing it that much, but unless we see Squirrel, I guess you could say you can never count out Squirrel. If one of these guys makes a mistake, Squirrel will be there, and he'll be ready to pounce.
Rozzie's off. Oh, that was awkward. I don't think these guys thought that, but Rozzie's off just before the dev chicane, and Squirrel just had to miss him.
Oh, that's very close.
Squirrel right? No, Squirrel's right. So
Squirrel. Yeah, Squirrel is
fine.
fine.
Pulled it off. Yeah, he just
very unlucky for Rozzy. It looked like his race just gone from bad to worse, picking up 2 3-second penalties, one for overtaking under yellow flags and another one for cutting the pit entry here at Dragontrail. So I'm very unfortunate for him. But I'm going to shout out an honourable mention here, Kez. Our man DP Mario inside the top 8, making his strategy work brilliantly. I want to know how close he is to Roddy Dongs, because he on fresh tyres and with 3 laps to go, if Roddy Dongs is very close, there you go. So Roddy Dongs is going through the chicane, and there is DP Mario. I don't know about you. Could he potentially be sniffing the rear wing of that Black Rose Racing Camaro?
Tyres are a lot better in Mario's because he obviously a bit later. He's got less fuel as well, so he's got enough to finish the race. There's no problems there, but he can push hard and potentially, he could, yeah, on paper, he can get up there.
Can definitely take P7 away from Roddy Dongs as he has to negotiate traffic from the ISO Racing Esports Mustang in 14th place. So DP Mario will have to keep an eye on at the conclusion of lap 27. So brilliant racing here in the Johnson lobby, just as always, just like we saw in round 1. Kez round 2 has produced some awesome battles here, but with Kutch leading the way, and as we saw at Red Bull Ring, if it all goes well, he'll be your brand new championship leader here in the Johnson lobby, and we cannot wait to see that 426 coloured in orange and Black Rose Racing taking the lead in the championship.
Oh my word, yes. Squirrels looks like he's going to guarantee a 4th there. He's dragged off Hellraiser now, so he's got one team from behind threatening him. He did have a little bit of a moment at the chicane on the last lap. The front tyres aren't that flash. Yeah, so he needs to back off a bit too. He's not going to reach Griffo. If he just holds it there, that's a good recovery.
Absolutely. Brilliant recovery drive there by Squirrel. Definitely could be a potential driver of the day here at the conclusion of the Johnson lobby, but I definitely feel like we've definitely got a few names in the hat for driver of the day in this lobby, but we'll wait until the conclusion of lap 27 for us to decide who is the driver of our day, in our opinions, of course. But as we are about to see Kutch come across the start-finish line for the final time, it is Kutch 426 Black Rose Racing in a very retro-looking Holden racing team from the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, putting the colors in on a Camaro, looking very spanking and very, very good looking, you could say, that Kutch 426 and Black Rose Racing have produced. Osto, you have to give a good shout out to Osto 101. This has probably been one of his best races in MotorMotion E-Series. The guy's never really had luck go his way, especially in other leagues that I've raced against him. And I feel like this time out, he's definitely, luck has gone his side, and a brilliant second place that he could potentially take at the conclusion of this race, and he can definitely hold his head up high for a top performance. And then we have the wild card in Griffo Tony in 3rd place, the first of the Mustangs. So who would have thought, Kez, the first of the Mustang would be a wild card? You would think it'd be one. You think it'd be one of the teams with a lot of money down their pockets, but with the ShawFire Mustang coming through, not on a very, very strict budget here. Apparently, their catering is all 2-minute noodles.
I bet. Yeah, right. Paying the engineer too much.
Absolutely. But nobody can stop Kutch 426 as he negotiates the final corner. And for round 2, your race winner is Kutch 426 for Black Rose Racing and your brand new championship leader. So congratulations to Kutch 426 in first. Osto can definitely take away this as a very positive result for Ned Racing, as he saw his teammate take out 3rd place. So very good points for Ned Racing. And then the wild card entry coming around the final corner. Give you a round of applause to Griffo Tony, the ShawFire Supercar Mustang, takes out 3rd place, the first of the wildcards, taking out a podium here at MotorMotion E-Series in the ShawFire Supercars Championship. Squirrel, after what was a horrific accident on lap 2, has come through the field, all hell's bent and taken out P4. Hellblazer holds on to P5. Briz Lightning for It's Racing Esports, a brilliant position 6. And definitely keeping up that high reputation of scoring points for It's Racing Esports. Roddy Dongs, much better performance for Roddy Dongs in car 9. Yeah. And unfortunately for DP Murray, just runs out of fuel coming onto the line. Marty was going to try and make a move on him. No, Marty will just take P9, and DP Murray holds on into the top 10, in 8th place. Madrick in 10th place is the last of the drivers inside that top 10. Uncle Mark, unfortunately, we saw him fighting up really high up amongst the field at the early stages. Unfortunately, relegates himself into P11. Robbo Sport, after getting tangled up with Squirrel 18 on lap 2 is in 12th place. And then unfortunately, the one-stop wonder at Red Bull Ring has definitely not worked in flyboarding's way. And he finishes in 13th place with Benjo in 14th, a lap down, and Ruzzy in 15th and last place. So brilliant performance by all of our drivers here this evening. Kutch with a dominant victory over Oster, but he had to work for it, Kez. It definitely wasn't. You definitely couldn't settle out. You definitely couldn't settle who would be taking the lead at the end of this race after what we saw between Kutch and Oster.
No, the battles were good. They were close. They were clean. They were fair. As you say, risk versus reward here. Are you really going to push that a little bit harder through the depth chicane just to make up a 10th there or a 10th there, or do you want to pull it back a 10th to make sure you get through there cleanly every time?
Yeah, I always would definitely take the conservative route, but I don't feel like Kutch was nowhere near conservative going through the chicane of death. Osto looked like he had a better setup compared to Kutch, but I think Kutch had better overall pace, is what we could say here, as we could take into conclusion at the end of this Johnson lobby here for round 2 of the ShawFire Supercars at Dragontrail Seaside. 2 rounds done, Kez. We move on to round 3 next Tuesday night, where we are going to be driving around. Ooh, I need to definitely pull up the calendar for that. I probably should have done my homework, but if you keep an eye on socials, you'll be able to know what the next round is.
Yeah.
We'll be jumping into St. Croix B on the 24th of January. Join us next week at round 3.
There you go. So we are going over the border. So we're staying in Europe, ladies and gentlemen. We are coming over the border to France, where we'll be enjoying the beautiful picturesque scenery of Saint-Croix, or as much of the French would say, Saint-Croissant. So we cannot wait to see what our drivers can do, especially in the Johnson lobby. Absolutely, yeah. You definitely. Would you want to go to the bakery, or would you want to be racing, Kez, if you were in France?
Can we do both, please?
Absolutely. If you join me next week, we'll definitely do both.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So that was a Johnson lobby. Definitely, we're going to go for our driver of the day pick here, Kez. If I had to pick my driver of the day, I definitely would have to give it to Griffo, the wild card entry, the dark horse of this Johnson lobby. Came through, did his own race, put on a good result. Potentially going to try and jump into the It's Racing Esports Camaro garage and just say, look, sign me up, please. I want that full-time drive. So he's definitely on the calling cards for It's Racing Esports, and he is my driver of the day.
Great drive. I can't take it away from Kutch. I loved you from last week, and he did me proud this week.
There you go. There you go. If Kutch is listening in the chat,
so it's more of a favourite than saying, driver of the day, driver of the series. He'll win it. Kutch
absolutely, yeah. He's definitely got a lot of hype around him with James Lee, Jimmy Superfly signing him up for the MotorMotion E-Series ShawFire Supercars Championship, and he's done the goods. He's taken the win. He's took out P2 last time out, taken one more step up on the podium into P1, and he will take that championship lead away from Squirrel 18. But Squirrel 18 is not far behind, as we've seen with those two hot-headed drivers, and we'll be looking to duke it out at round 3 for Saint-Croix for the French Grand Prix coming up next week. But until then, thank you for joining us, Kez. Thank you for everyone joining us here at MotorMotion E-Series. We cannot wait to bring you all the action for the Johnson lobby and also the Brock lobby next week at Saint-Croix. But on behalf of myself and Kez, we cannot wait to see you guys, and we'll catch you guys next week.